So the new One Piece was really good. It was almost, or if not, better than last week's chapter. I'm still on the fence about this. A lot more seems to have happened this chapter than in the last chapter, but the last chapter was just really seemed like things that you were really excited about, and then this time around it just kind of changes.
Yeah, definitely this chapter, everything that was super hyped about last week, the tables totally turned. Doflamingo has Luffy and Law on, on the ground right now, hands tied behind their back, and
Literally.
yeah, and it's crazy how fast the fight changed because I seriously thought after last week Luffy was about to do some ass kicking, and not to say he definitely will, he will, that's for sure, and I still believe Luffy hasn't shown everything he's got, but at this point they're kind of almost helpless in front of Doflamingo.
And I'm to mention that Bellamy pretty much got in a pretty good slice in on Luffy while he was tied down.
That too. He got kicked in the face, got his hand tied behind his back, got sliced, and Law now has four strings went straight through his back. But he did pretty much take out Trevor in the process, which is good.
Yeah, that radio knife seemed to have a lot more effect than what we originally thought.
Yeah, he can't put himself back together, which is important. So that pretty much leaves the only enemy as Doflamingo, which is
I'm
definitely
sure he might be able to do at least something, maybe with like throwing some like kind of like
slime stuff.
yeah. But other than that, I don't. He's probably not going to be doing too much.
For the most part, I feel like it's winding down to Luffy versus Doflamingo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like in this chapter, Trevor could still like hold Law
Yeah,
down, but I mean, radio knife has a different cut in the end compared to the average amputation. All I need is a few minutes, and it won't even matter what treatment you're getting or what
oh,
powers you have.
yeah. So pretty much,
If they
and
can
then
wait
it
out a couple minutes, they're good.
looks like Law is also on his way kind of out of the fight too because he just got messed up. So yeah, like I said, it's looking like Doflamingo versus Luffy
Which is
at
going to
this,
be absolutely sick.
and Luffy's on the ground helpless right now pretty much, which makes you think like, will someone come in and help him out? And that person would probably be Sabo at this point, but you know, if Sabo comes in, I really don't think it's gonna be much of a fight anymore. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Luffy takes on Doflamingo by himself somehow next chapter, and in the end, Luffy can. I feel like Luffy can do it himself. He's gonna be Pirate King one day,
Yeah,
and like all that
he needs
training,
the experience.
the 2 years training, it still hasn't really shown like what it was worth, and I feel like he's going to in this fight.
Yeah, because I mean, literally the whole Fishman Island thing was not even that great of a fight, and it wasn't really a great matchup for him.
Yeah, this
And
is
then,
this is really the test.
I mean, I guess you can kind of say that maybe Caesar Clown was strongish, but that wasn't really much of a fight for Luffy either. So this is definitely the test of will.
Yeah, and so honestly, I don't think Sabo is going to join the fight. I think one way or another, it's just going to be Luffy, and you can see also Fujitora, has that gambling luck kind of thing, and today he decides to take his gamble on Luffy because he's been against the warlord system since the very beginning. And when he brought up that he's going to place his bets on Luffy, it kind of just makes it seem like Luffy's going to do this on his own.
Mm. And then he also says that, it doesn't matter who you are, you're kind of stuck in this little hole when it comes to being seen as a hero, no
Yeah, it
matter who
doesn't
you
matter.
are.
Doesn't matter if you're Marines or a pirate. Like whoever's doing the right thing is the hero, I guess.
Mm.
And that's ultimately why he places his bets on Luffy. And which just to mention, Fujitora and Sabo, their fight, as you saw in this chapter, ended because ultimately it looks like they're both rooting for the same side, so they had no reason to fight anymore.
Not to mention that it was probably evenly matched or so, and it was just a big waste of time for them to even bother.
Yeah. Gotta say, like, it looked like the fight was pretty evenly matched. You don't know for sure, but might find out later. And you can see everyone shows up. Everyone that was climbing the net rope up to where Usopp is. They're all like, no, there's no way. Like, we're angry at Doflamingo, not you guys. And
Yeah,
so
so they all got set free, which is
yeah,
really cool because now maybe they can actually go fight some of the other guys at this
yeah,
point in time.
they got all of Dressrosa on their side.
I
It's
mean,
pretty much Dressrosa versus Doflamingo at this point.
I would definitely like to see how Usopp's hockey comes into play in a fight.
I hope it does, dude, because that was awesome. Anyways, I think for the most part that was the whole point of the chapter, and it was a really good chapter. A lot of progression on the fight as well as Sabo and
And some backbone. I mean, we get a glimpse
oh,
at
that's right.
Doflamingo's past, but it just seems really. I don't know. I'm not too happy about it. I would have liked to seen something more, maybe about him actually making the crew that he's in, because this was a really short chapter. There was a
Well,
lot more room for some more backstory, but all it showed was just how he was when he was a kid.
the thing is, the rest of the backstory is going to be seen with Laws.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, they could have threw in a little bit more, seeing how it was
Yeah,
a 14-page chapter, and they're usually ordered like 20, 21, 22 sometimes, and I don't
yeah,
know.
there definitely could have been more. And ultimately, it looked like Doflamingo's past was kind of just he was spoiled, and his dad was realized we should live the lives like normal people instead of these like
And be happy.
yeah. And then Doflamingo was a spoiled little prick kid and didn't want it that way. He still wanted to be like a celestial dragon.
He wanted slaves, and he wanted everything done for him. He wanted
Yeah.
power.
And didn't he take his dad's head to the celestial dragons?
Yep. He
Yeah.
killed his
Like
dad while he was sick and brought it.
so I mean that was definitely pretty gnarly. It was interesting for sure.
I mean, it was pretty cool, but at the same time, like, I don't know.
I,
He's a
it
little.
still seems like an odd reason for him to have gone this far.
He's really messed up in the head.
Yeah,
Um,
which we could tell.
like, he didn't have to necessarily kill his dad. He could have just left or something, but I mean, yeah, you can tell he's really screwed up. The Celestial Dragons didn't give a shit about him because they pretty much say that his family is traitors. So
Yeah. So he's pretty much wants to take on the world because he got rejected by the celestial dragons.
he's been denied through his whole life the way he wants to live, and he just wants to take it. He wants power.
And then, yeah, we still have to see, what his whole relationship with Law, and I feel like that's gonna like really put some backbone on his past because, this 1.5 pages of it, that wasn't enough.
We get to maybe see his brother, because I was a little confused because there was a guy standing next to Doflamingo in the when they showed his dad in bed, like sick, and there's
Yeah.
just like a man, like a full grown person standing right next to him. So I didn't know if that was his brother. Is his brother that much older than him? Who could this person be?
See if there's any
So-
relation with that.
Because they look like they have pretty much the same body type, like really, like bulky and tall.
Yeah, ridiculously tall.
So we'll get to see maybe in the future what happens with his brother and why he got killed, which
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested in.
We'll just, we'll find out next chapter what happens. So, rating for this chapter?
I almost want to give it a 10.
I would give it probably an 8.5 because, I mean, the fight definitely progressed well. The Sabo part and Fujitora is all, like, really well done. It could have, just the past could have been a little bit more. That's why I'd give it a lower score. It's a short
Yeah.
chapter.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to give it a 10 because it was really amazing. and we get to see some more clarification of what happens, and we get to basically see why the fight with Sabo was done, why the radio knife wasn't that bad of a move. It was actually a really good part on there, and put him in a pretty better situation than they would have normally been. It's yeah, the shortness of the chapter and the fact that the flashback wasn't even half of a page, so I'd have to maybe give it an 8.
Alright, so 8.5 for me, 8 for you?
Yep.
Yep. And then hopefully next chapter we can find out what happens next in the fight with Doflamingo, because it's getting pretty addicting.
Yeah. It's
Anyways,
hard to compete with Naruto. I don't know what I want to see more.
Oh, I know. Anyways, we'll definitely be here next week to talk about it. Thanks for listening.
Alright, see ya.